compLexity Gaming versus CounterLogic Gaming, a matchup for all intents and purposes having implications on both sides of the bout, in which bring extreme importance to it. I can promise you that. One team looking to stay away from relegation, one team trying to secure their entirety in the playoffs. But each win is going to count here towards either of those goals. Are you okay?
I'm great.
Just had to ask. Wasn't sure. Wanted to make sure you weren't in.
I had some ice cream and it's delicious.
I'm glad that you told us that there's implications for these matches. I would have forgot. I'm just kidding, but there's many, right? So one of them could be the fact that you don't want to get relegated. You don't want to be rendered irrelegated. I mean irrelevant. I mean relegated. I don't know what I'm trying to say. CLG can likely make the playoffs. They're number 4 right now, and they have a sick record, but they have a lot of overtime wins and losses. So I think there's a small chance they might not be in the top 6 if they lose out and then 5 and 6 current win out. But I think they win one game here, they're basically booked their ticket to Udenza.
Sick. Eric, how about you walk us through this compLexity lineup real quick? How does that sound, bud? You want to do that?
Yeah, we got Def, Android, X23, Slemmy, Yaster, and Peter.
Do you know why he has the X23?
You
should.
Because he's 23 years old.
Right? And it's an Irish thing, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So now you just...
I was asking you. I wasn't saying I knew. I was asking you, is that why?
But I'm glad you answered before.
So who has the most op kills on their team?
I would say Peter.
Yeah.
He's 5th in the
Pro
league.
League?
There you go.
Yeah.
I was
Are
watching
you trying to outstat me?
I'm not trying to outstat you because you're the stat man. I was watching you, and I'm learning from you.
What maps are they playing?
They are playing Train.
Don't look at me.
Train and Mirage.
I'm not bailing you out of this. Not bailing you out of this. Let's go ahead and look at the next lineup. That's going to be CounterLogic Gaming. Because, James, I know you've been waiting anxiously to talk about this lineup. Let's hear what you have to say.
Thank you for pinning that on me. I guess I'm anxious now. I was actually excited to talk about how great Naughty's been playing. Ethan Arnold. He's actually the most recent pickup in terms of having seen the least amount of pro games. So he's the newest to the pro scene. Obviously has a few seasons under his belt now, and he's probably the star of the team, right? You give him that rifle when you only have 1 AK. You know, those second-round buys, and you're like, hey, let's get it like a surprise AK buy. You're going to give it to Ethan, right? And then on the other side of the coin, you got Kusta, who's been banging it out with the op. I watched a few of his POV demos last night. And, you know, I always like POV demos. They're always great. But with Kusta, I noticed that he does his best work when he's being aggressive.
Well, you can get the most from a POV. I think that's where you're going to get the most intel. Most bang for your buck, dare I say. But we're going to fly in these Betway odds. Again, we're going to Train and Mirage here, kicking it off on Train. And ultimately, it's looking like CLG are the favorites going into this one. It's hard to say favorites because it could potentially be such a close matchup.
They could be, but I think CLG just played compLexity actually last week.
In the minor?
In the minor.
But neither of them qualified to the bigger tournament, right? So this is basically their big game right here, right?
The big game.
Pro League is their thing right now.
Yeah, and it was on maps Inferno and Cash, and CLG won convincingly. So, but we know that compLexity can do this. They have been shown that they could compete. And
yeah, they're a very skill-heavy team. Absolutely.
It's if they can bring it together.
Well, they can bring it together like the ends of a star. That's right. The team recently acquired by the Dallas Cowboys owner and Jerry Jones is going to be looking to keep themselves alive here in the ESL Pro League of Season 6. And to bring us that action is going to be none other than Blue and Launders. How are you doing? How have you been? Go ahead and take it away from here.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, we're going to be jumping into our second series of the night, which hopefully proves to be a bit more competitive than the first one, because that one just zooped right by. But that doesn't mean we get to jump into the second set a little bit early this evening and get to see these two teams face off. And these two teams actually are relatively even footing at this point now, considering the results. So we look back at the minor performance too. We saw compLexity actually do quite well. They're way beyond my expectations for them at that event. So they've kind of proven themselves a bit more, and now it's made this match, in my opinion, at least a little bit more even.
So who do you think's going to win then?
That I don't know, because I think Train is a map where CLG probably still have a slight edge, I'd say, over compLexity. But I don't think it's impossible for compLexity to win it either. I'd say it's probably like 60-40 CLG on this first map.
CLG, sorry, what?
I'd probably say it's like 60% chance that CLG wins it and a 40% chance that the compLexity wins it.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I can agree with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. This is definitely a map they're going to be happy to play. It's good that we're going to get right into it. I'm kind of curious. I mean, it can't be any less competitive than the first map. And it's going to be one of the most competitive series in all of Pro League, really. I mean, I think compLexity have just this, like, was going to compare them to Na'Vi because in the EU Pro League standings, their round differential is so low, right? For being last place, it was like -2 or something. Whereas, and I think the same thing stands for compLexity, where they've actually played pretty close matches, just haven't been able to clutch them out at the end of the day.
Well, to start things off, as they'll be going on to the T side first here on Train. It's going to be a bit of a slow walk up to the box halls here. They do take easy control. There's no aggressive pressure from CLG moving into those box halls there. They just sit patiently out on the site and wait for the execute should it happen. But we'll wait on that and see a few moments later here, since compLexity do have most of their players in the back box halls, but they're keeping their eyes on ladder room here too. So there's a possibility they try to just waterfall out ladder room.
You know what? I'm gonna take compLexity on this map.
Are you?
Yeah, small margin. I think they're gonna be fired up. They got Jerry Jones. I forget what I should know this, but I really watch sports. The Cowboys owner, huge investment. Huge round of investments.
Yeah. They're pumped.
They're pumped, yes.
Well, let's see if they're going to be pumped enough to be able to get into this site and execute properly. They move in. Good damage done to Ethan, and Kusta has been overwhelmed. Rikke holds a little bit better, but Slemmy gets both of the opening entries here, finding both Kusta on the bomb train and Ethan further back. Trades happen outside, a bit irrelevant to the actual site take. As Cutler's going to be able to take down Peter. All it really does is delay the rotates for a little bit. That does mean Rikke is going to be alone here, but he's able to hold on his own, picks up an additional frag now against Def. And with Slemmy already being as low as he is at 15 HP, if he doesn't immediately frag, he's going to die. And that's what we see. Now it's left to Android to clutch a 1v3 scenario, and he'll go down to Rikke as well. So a relatively clean retake here on the pistol, which will give CLG the advantage at the beginning of the map.
Solid retake overall. We'll move into the next round with compLexity going to have buying on their mind. I don't know if they're going to invest straight away because that can catch teams off guard, or if they'll just go ahead and try to get 8Ks. And as for CLG, they have to decide, well, how much they want to invest in SMGs, knowing that compLexity will probably have a 70% chance of buying next round as opposed to this one. 70 or 80, something like that. I mean, some teams have been throwing it in every once in a while to make sure that teams stay in check and don't buy too many SMGs. And here we have a very healthy number. Actually, just one. So CLG playing quite safe.
compLexity will start to burst out here in a moment. It's actually Ye that picks up that first kill for them. He's going to be able to find Kusta here starting off the round. And now the rest of the team actually sit back a little bit more, wait to see if anyone from CLG tries to aggressively respond to that kill, but not going to be happening. compLexity actually don't even decide to follow through and execute into this site. They'll push everyone up to the white halls, and in a moment, probably execute towards inner. But this does mean, since they left no one behind, that players like FNS are going to be able to push through T-Con. No issues at all. See that there's basically zero pressure aimed at this A-bomb site, and now appropriately position themselves to stop the hit towards inner, which Cutler's already killed one player here. The jig is up, and in a moment, there's going to be more rotates on the way. Not too surprising to see Cutler get traded out. He took a pretty open position, so this should allow for them to get the plant, at least getting themselves a little bit of bonus money off of this round. However, CLG still has great positioning for a retake, and compLexity know it, so they've got to get prepped for this. As they move in, Ethan actually gets dinked. Not the best way to start it off. However, the two first actual kills go their way, and they succeed in picking up the third one without any trades either. Nice, clean retake again from them there with the remaining 3 players left alive, and they'll pick up a second round.
Yeah, and it's not just bonus money, because without it, they would have had barely enough money to get like all the nades they want, but here they're going to have full nade sets completely. CLG are going to be aware of that, but they were pretty well prepared moving into round number 2. And here, just upgrade that last UMP into an M4. So in the third round of the game, because of all the money that's come through in the compLexity camp, they have they're going to be on pretty even footing. No ops, even though I think that was a possibility. Might have more of a drawn out round here. Somebody makes a presence towards T-Con, flashes over. And it's important that if you're going to spend 2 people just to make distractions, that they do have their grenades go at the same time.
Well, CLG holding quite well here to take these players out, but Peter responding in kind with his kill on FNS that brings it back down into more of an even fight. Ethan, however, looking on the flank, but Def, ooh, this is going to be a timing play here, because Def no longer looking at it. That lets Ethan walk right out, get the kill for free. No longer compLexity looking that good to clutch, but Peter with a rifle here. Still going to be looking for his opportunity to do it. He is able to go back and get the bomb without any contention. And Ethan as well, completely backed away from his position at the bottom of stairs. Peter's still going to want to check this just for safety reasons. And we'll see if he decides to go all the way up and wrap towards inner. That would be the interesting play. And that does look like he That's what he decides to go for.
Yeah, I think Ethan made too much noise too early, and now Peter can actually get a plant straight up. So I'm not sure how far ahead that he heard him run, but it seems like he's pretty confident that no one's even close by. Bit of a mistake there, letting go in the shift key too early, and we've got a prime after plant spot as well. But great nade set from Ethan as well as a kit to work with.
Peter now just sitting back at the top of upper here, which is going to be a bit of an interesting position for him to try and play off. A bit of more of a difficult position for him to try and win this off. He can obviously pop flush himself back in, but he's got to be careful, especially with the smoke now onto the ground here, trying to stop the defuse, but he's getting spammed way too heavily. His position is way more predictable and way more readable, so they'll sneak the defuse off from within inside of the smoke. Peter does not end up dying, but he can't stop the defuse either, so CLG will still end up winning out the round. Yeah,
they get the extra plant, though. This is probably going to supplement a buy. Peter dropping his AK to somebody else to indicate that that's going to happen. It was a pretty good attempt in the after plant to get that, to try to lock down that one kill, and because he stayed alive, it wasn't too bad overall, but because, you know, CLG had the utility to work with on that retake, it made sense. Now, again, small individual play allowed that round to even come close. Overall, the execute looked pretty solid, I thought, from compLexity. I liked how they were chaining flashes over outer to make sure that their teammates could gain ground, but the trades weren't there to meet them halfway. So I don't think that's something that they have to throw out, just something that they have to kind of refine.
CLG are still going to keep themselves quiet, however. No extra aggression being put out by them to try and find these CLG players, or excuse me, these compLexity players, which have now started to encroach closer to the site. Daf just tries to slowly walk past Ivy, but it's pretty much expected that he's going to get taken down. However, Android, expecting the same thing, also walks out there and just gives the kill over to Rikke. So not the best way to start this off for Cole. Yeah, with a good response at least, and Slemmy picking up a kill too, but these are all just even trades, and with them losing their first two players and having zero response to that, this is not what compLexity need. It's left to Slemmy to clutch in a 1v3 scenario. Well, I don't think they're fully aware of his own position. Ethan, in a moment, is going to be able to spot him, and just like that, take him down, securing a 4th round now for CLG.
I actually quite like walkouts versus big buys. compLexity tried to do that because they were low on grenades and put together whatever they could, and now I think attack pause is called. You would imagine it's by compLexity. CLG don't have much to figure out for themselves. They're on the CT side. Stuff is simple for them, and compLexity haven't won a round yet, so they've had a couple of opportunities so far. If I'm in their camp, I think I save this pause, honestly, because they're going to have a save round. They want to try to get a plant. Maybe that's what they're focused on talking about. Inner is clearly the weaker site to put the bomb down, both in general and in this match specifically, as we've seen. Anytime a team is keen on playing retake on B, just send your eco to B to go plant. It's much easier than outside.
So we'll see if compLexity stick to that strategy once more, if they'll attempt something a little bit different here this time. It does look like they're splitting their players up into pretty much as the default. However, I think the CTs might get a little bit more aggressive. Stephaness was tossing in some utility to make it look like he might have gone for a push out Ivy, but decided against it. And now holds closer to the site. Ivy's actually pretty much undefended right now, except for players outside on the actual yard that would have to pick up kills from that position. So this is going to let most of compLexity funnel in relatively unchallenged. And we even see Slemmy getting up to the corner here. And wow, Slemmy just gets away with murder there with those 2 kills. Responses come in from Ethan, but it's not long before another kill is seen in the hands of compLexity. Android knocks out Kusta. We are back down to a 2v2 after the initial fight concludes.
Man, if he's not going to watch his back at ladder, just put the bomb down right now. Whoa, what the heck are they doing?
So they're going to walk right into Cutler's position, and he spams in, gets the 1-for-1 trade, and with Ethan standing behind them, he picks up his 4th kill on the round and knocks out Slemmy. So compLexity had full site control, decided not to plant it, and walked right into the 2-man setup.
What?
That CLG still had at that point.
What was that round? They killed 2 people outside dedicated, right? And then they have rotators. They even took the time to clear old bomb, which they probably didn't need to do. I mean, they could have just planted and played an after plant. All they really had to watch was ladder if they knew that Ivy was clear. So why did they push inner? Did they not expect people to be there? What was the thought process? I don't really understand.
I guess maybe they thought they were not holding Z and were on top of like ladder and the old bomb tunnel or something like that.
But they weren't watching ladder. You know, it's like if you think they're ladder, you can't turn your back.
You would be checking.
Yeah, you can't turn your back to it.
That's a good point. So So regardless, it gives the round to CLG, and a mistake from compLexity ends up costing them what could have been their first gun round. Ye is 100% aware that Ricky is holding this lane, but Ricky recovers from the flash just in time to still be able to take out Ye. So once again, we're looking at CLG with a 5v4 to open up the round. And Cole split up all across the board here.
Yeah, he's been an important player. He gets taken out. And I'm not sure what they're planning to do with the op. The molly's no good, 'cause it's actually a smoke down. But at least that help. Well, that doesn't tell them anything, actually, because they could, CLG could be playing someone in front of the smoke.
And the additional smoke is going to be thrown to the bottom of a ramp here to hold off a compLexity execute Def. Looks like he's still going to decide to push through it and challenge it. They saw that, and the player at Spindles can easily pick up this kill. They're shutting down Def. The last three trying to make a haphazard attempt at a B execute here. Slemmy just pushes out on his own, gets the trade kill onto Cutler, but is very low now. Only 13 HP remaining. Can't even get past the cross. Ethan's still sitting behind the bomb train ready to stop that. Ooh, Ethan almost loses himself, however. Dodges the op shot from Peter, dodges it again. And now Peter, put in a very awkward spot, tries to force the plant, finally gets the no-scope hit, but now they're out of time for the plant. And it's still a 2v2. No way that they're going to be able to knock out the entire enemy team here. And now they have to try and hold and not die, but that doesn't happen for Peter. He goes down, and now he has less than $1,000 to rebuy in this next round.
That's quite the L. You lose the loss bonus, you lose the op, and now you're down to $100. Such an awkward position because you can't even buy armor, right? Like, that would be the minimum thing that you would want, so that your team could like at least buy. But here, it's an awkward position. I think Android has less money because he saved his gun, so at least they're going to have that, and they might have 3 other buys. Peter's just going to pretty much get dropped a pistol if they do decide to put one together, but I think they treat this kind of as a otherwise as a save situation. Kind of a disappointing start to the half. I really did think that they were going to do a lot better. It seemed like there's a couple of good things they did in the first 2 buy rounds, and then after that, really weird 2v2, and now a tough situation where they ran out of time.
Yeah, so Peter ends up with only a deagle because of his money being reduced down to what it was. Doesn't even have armor behind it either, so it's going to be very, very... I don't even think that's his deagle. I'm pretty sure someone else bought that for him. So he basically ends up buying nothing here. CLG will look to abuse this advantage, but that comes back to bite them. FNS trying to aggressively push out Ivy will get taken down by Android early on in the round here.
Kind of patiently spotting over the smoke and trades a frag. That's a big deal.
Used to getting the 1 quick kill, but Ye shows up once again with a good entry from outside of T-Con. It's left really only Ethan here to survive, and now he's going to be pincered in a moment. Tries to pop out the smoke. He's going to be very careful with his positioning, however. All 3 directions are going to be dangerous, although that's a good headshot to start things off. Tries to go for a 3rd kill. Will fall to that. And Cutler quickly jumps out of Z. While he almost kills Def, will still end up losing the duel. And that will finally now put compLexity onto the board.
Yeah, that's really nice for them, considering Peter was in such a terrible position. He was relying heavily on his teammates to do all the work, basically. So suddenly, CLG, even after all these rounds in a row, have no money to buy. And because they have been reset, decided to force up whatever they can. That means a UMP, Scout, and a few pistols. Surprised to see no CZs. Interesting.
Do have compLexity pretty much ready to rock out onto the B side again here to go for an execute. And once more, Ethan is positioned well. He will get traded by the ramp players, but he kills both of the upper players trying to execute. Ooh, a good hold from Def actually stops Kusto from knocking these guys out. That nade's going to be dangerous, though, as it not only kills Ye, but it denies the plant. Okay, even spots the other player pushing from the back calls there, so they confirm the presence of the final player. Okay, just scopes him out from range with the 5-7, takes him down, and Def now stands alone trying to survive against a 1v3. This is not what compLexity needed in order to restabilize their economy and try to find some footing to get back into the game. With him getting taken out by the scout, that puts compLexity back in, or excuse me, that puts CLG back in really good control over the matchup, as well as having a 7-1 lead.
Okay, that's a full force up from CLG. This kind of spells death to me to compLexity. I really thought they'd do a lot better here, but all that needed to happen in that situation was it all starts with Ethan getting the 2K, which we're probably going to see here from Swools. Now this kill needs to be traded like immediately, but it takes too long. the frag doesn't come out. And then once that happens, the guy who's dedicated to watching the ladder flank has to be pulled to help them take inner, which is the worst case situation. A big flank comes out because the eco round in the House of Cards comes down, right?
Yeah, so now that is going to bring compLexity down to their knees in terms of buying capability here. Trying to go for just a default T-Con and ladder split here, but with pretty heavy emphasis on ladder this time. It's pretty much just death going in for T-Con to stop CTs from aggressively pushing him out, but that's going to happen anyway because of the nade pressure, which will bring him down to half of his HP, and the rest of the team are going to execute here into the site. Ethan's actually in a bit of a dangerous position there, so he has to fall back, which is going to let compLexity in, gives them a plan at least. But still, the odds of them holding in the post plan are not going to be looking so good here. With a 1-for-1 trade, at least puts them in better strides. But we can already see Kusta and FNS picking up additional kills to give CLG back a massive man advantage. And all that's left alive now is one player with a Glock in a 1v4 who will get overwhelmed by Kusta. And that secures another one for CLG. They're up 8-1 here now over compLexity.
Yeah, very simple and clean retake. Everybody staying alive except for Ethan. Fortunately for compLexity, they get another bomb plant, but CLG have gotten their feet on the ground. They went in the eco round or the force up, anticipating the double save. It was enormous, and even though they bought down to 0 on that round, they made some win bonus, and then here, with this cleanup, are in a much better position physically. So I'd like to see how much money they have left, or how much money they have now, that is. It's crazy how quickly things can swing back in your favor with just one fate going up against one eco round where you keep it clean.
At the very least with that first plant, or with that plant there, compLexity are going to have the capability to fully buy back in. And are now back just into default setups here, trying to look for some way to execute to the outer site again. Only down below is going to pincer Ethan. They won't be able to follow that up, so only serves to do just 40 damage to him and put him away from the ladder position. But now that he's not seen anyone push back down, he's definitely still going to get curious about the position here. And even Peter assumes that someone might have tried to work his way up the ladder.
That was such a waste of a Molotov. So they could have used the 2 Molotovs to flush him out of ladder room completely, and then dropped, follow it, taken control of ladder, or waited for the repeak so that they could fight him. Or they could have had someone in T-Con after that molly came out to catch him crossing backwards. Instead, they just threw it and they left it, so now they don't know if ladder's clear.
Yep. And that will come back to haunt them here on the execute as they still have to clear that area. There is still very much an active CT presence inside. FNS as well kills both of the IV players. And over here in ladder, oh, Ethan actually goes down without a single kill. This does some damage to Yaster as he gets the better of him falling down from heaven. So now the CTs will be challenged a little bit here at least. Peter, though, getting the kill onto FNS along with Ye's kill on Cutler has served to even us back up into a 2v2, and Slemmy's kill now gives back compLexity the man advantage here as they'll clear out the site due to their good entries. And Kus is even going to be scouted for here by Slemmy, who finishes it off, gets his second kill on the round, and secures it for compLexity.
I don't even know. I'm not. That round's like, this is a great hold by FNS, right? These are hard kills to get, especially 2 of them. You really have to hit your first bullet. You're kind of locked into this angle, and it's a flat, like, right angle peak. It's a tough shot to hit. So he gets those 2 frags, and the ladder guys aren't even at the bottom. They don't even have ladder control yet. So the spacing is just, like, awful from compLexity, and you wonder what they were, how they even won that round after that. I hate to be so harsh, but, like, they didn't have ladder control. They made an attempt to take it, but didn't show themselves that it was clean. Then when they dropped down, were like lucky they get that kill while falling. And if they had just taken control of it early on, and then split ladder and Ivy, and just done it at the same time, they would have won it so much more decisively.
Yeah, now it has still brought them down into a very delicate situation as a result of winning it with 1 player left alive. If CLG take control of this round again, then they'll be reset, and that'll pretty much screw them over for the rest of the half now. As we can see, compLexity still looking for their options to actually execute here. Very much lined up for a default outer as they're going to move in for that. And Android spamming at range takes him a moment, but he finds Kusta. I'm actually surprised Kusta takes that position without any additional support. And Ricky missing his spray as well. He's going to go down to Ye. He's already, there's 3 of the CTs alive. They're all here though. They're all on the outer site, but the bomb is actually executing inner. So they've completely pinched on these last 2 players, leaving them little room to do anything at all, especially now that the bomb has gone down. They're going to have to try and find a way to fall back. They're actually killing quite a few of the players that are sitting outside here in the site. But they are pretty much stuck here, especially now that the molly's gone down. And yeah, Def waiting inside of the old bomb tunnel. He's going to be able to finish off not just 1, but both of the remaining CTs. finally finding some consistency here for compLexity.
Yeah, much nicer round overall, and it seemed like they weren't even committed to outside, so everybody putting in the individual effort necessary to not only sell that fake, but straight up win that round before the bomb even goes down, putting compLexity in a really awkward spot where they're kind of just trying to save, seeing if they can get the kills outside, and then, probably even after that wouldn't be able to win on the inner retake because of how much map control had been taken while they were busy. Full eco for CLG. As compLexity worked their way outside relatively quickly. Some inner smokes being thrown just to show presence, make sure no one's pushed.
He's going to continue to get access to this lane for free. He's able to just waltz right up and get another kill here. FNS brought down as low as he is, and that makes it a quick cleanup for Cole here, leaving only Ricky alive. He's got a Zeus, so we'll see if he's able to have some fun with that positioning, but the round itself is essentially over here now, and we expect compLexity to quickly swing up to 4 rounds in a second. As soon as they're able to find Ricky, that is.
Will this work? Because somebody's going to cross the window.
I think you can see.
Oh, we'll see. Oh, yes, we get to find out. I feel like you get to see their. Oh, maybe you don't.
He's crouching. That's so. Oh, man.
What?
I guess Dev just got the better of him, I think.
He shot though. I think the aim punch. I think the bullet sent his aim up, and then right at the moment when his aim was up,
that's when he hit. That's when he hit the trigger.
Yeah, maybe. But we still don't get to find out if you get seen.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
So no Zeus kill still. I think we did eventually see one from Ricky last week at the Binary, but still is a very rare occurrence. Regardless, though, after that eco from Cole, after the eco from CLG, keep getting confused. They are back into full strength here. What could be one of the last gun rounds for them in this half. After starting off 8-1, compLexity have definitely worked to come back a little bit here now, and it's CLG struggling to win any of these rounds and solidify that lead. It's something like 11-4.
FNS bottom of ladder can kind of sit here. Great damage dealt to Slummy, my god.
That's all coming through that spam spot right there. Brings him down very, very low to just 10 HP.
Right there, they molly it out. Do they take it at the same time? Nope, they actually just decided to run inner.
And Ethan took advantage of that. He already had a position established at the back of the upper entryway, so he kills Def. And this, combined with the damage done to Slummy earlier, makes this a bit of a rough round now. Peter, he sees the barrel.
This is kind of confusing, I think. I'm not sure if compLexity were spotted going inner, so they don't want to run that right away. And Peter was here selling an outside fake while they were doing that. How on earth does that happen? Ricky also will pick up an op, I assume. And yeah, that just pushes their inner execute out.
Still no rotates from CLG just yet, though, so it's still at the moment only the 2 players that are holding it or defending it. They're going to have to quickly adjust on this. Ethan recovers from the flashbang that was tossed back out. Finds the kill into Ace. They're getting distracted a little bit by that guy at upper. They're just going to let Android trade him, but with Cutler now killing the last upper player, it's all left to Android, but he hits a nice headshot onto Cutler, taking him out, but he is very low on time to actually find this plant. We'll just fake plant it in hopes of getting players out into the open, but while that'll work, Ricky still is going to win in the 1v1 to take him down and secure a 9th round for CLG.
It was a nice round from CLG, who consistently were fighting for map control over and over again, and they weren't biting on the fakes. So they made compLexity look really bad there by like Ethan pushing inner when ladder presence was made, which he found like an opportune moment to do it. They had FNS who went back into ladder after some presence was made, so they didn't fall for the fact that it was inner or outer in that moment. And then Ricky not falling for the outside take that Peter was throwing by himself, called him out by walking over the train and killing him. So it was just a good round where CLG picked all the right times and places to be aggressive.
We're going to see Akusta just face checking over here towards the Ivy area. I'm not even sure if he saw Android jumping across or not due to the timing of his peaks. Anyway, Slummy's going to end up relatively low due to the pressure inside of T-Con again. And Kusta is going to have to be careful here. Ends up jumping into Ivy. I think they saw that, so he's going to know he's here. Still is able to chain together at least one of the kills, however. And now Cutler on the outside, well, he'll get nothing done. Peter takes him down. Ricky spams back, does a better job of holding out the Ivy control. Will take out Def. That leaves just 1 player standing here at Ivy, and 1 more who was going to join the Ivy push, but now really doesn't have any option at all. He's in a 1v3 with only 2 HP. And more than likely, will just be serving to delay time until CLG pick up this next round here.
Yeah, 2 health to work with. This is going to be tough. He's made a big rotate, and I think should presence also. Nice shot on to Ricky.
Now they know where he's at, however.
It's the last thing you want, Monk S.
Slemmy pushes back out. That's where Ethan's going to be able to find him and put CLG into double digits here, and that also puts the money for compLexity down into a bit of a rough spot here going into the last round of the half. They'll still have a few players fully bought up with the AK and the Op, but you can already see 2 of them also on CZs.
Yes, it is bargain basement. Def found a gem. He at least has an Op. I wonder why that isn't. I guess he's holding on to it because he can't afford armor. Let's see it, Def. What can he do with this baby?
T-Con has been a pretty rough spot here for the most part for compLexity in this course of this entire half, but actually Ladder Room is just going to get destroyed by Ethan, who I think pushed it directly and caught them stacking in the totem pole formation there. So he's going to be able to take 2 of them down right from the beginning of the round. Peter sneaks up Speedway. Does some good damage at least to Kusta, but Kusta will still be able to fall back. He saw that peek partially from Slemmy, so he's going to be able to easily take him down when he fully commits to it, and that leaves just 2 standing, both having pushed into the Speedway too. Peter finally completes at least 1 kill, but again, now they know where he's at, now they know where he's playing from, and they can formulate this properly. As Kusta takes him down, Def will be there with the trade as he's got the Op to play with still, but it's not long before he crosses into that smoke and Ethan spamming and takes him down. So it does end up going back to an 11-4 scoreline with CLG having control for the most part of this first half. We'll see if compLexity can shape up any better on their CT side when we come back for the break right after this.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
So we are back again, guys, here, and we are seeing our next 2 teams take each other on, and it's CLG that came out ahead of compLexity here at the end of the first half. It's on train once again to start things off in this series, and CLG faring pretty well, I think, at the start of this, right?
Yeah, very well. I mean, they had control of it in most rounds. They even brought it back on an eco round, and it seemed like there's a couple of rounds early in the first half where compLexity showed some prowess. They seemed like they knew what they were doing for a bit, but then, a couple of bad rounds were just like the mid-round fell apart, and then CLG walk away with the half. So we move in the half number 2 with compLexity, at least on the CT side. That might be a place of comfort for them. I hope it is. And as for CLG, just keep on doing what you do, because I think their T side's good enough to close this out. But I really thought that that new round of investment would have fired compLexity. But maybe it's so big that they still think it's a dream. They're not. It hasn't settled in.
They haven't fully realized it yet.
Yes, maybe when they lose, like, whoa, we have a ton of new infrastructure. We should probably meet them halfway by improving dramatically really quickly.
But at the moment, not looking like that's happening, so CLG have the advantage at 11-4. We'll see, though, compLexity now get on to the more favored side of this map. So maybe they'll still be better off to shape themselves up. But at the moment, they've pushed aggressively outside of Ivy, and while it's great intel, it is going to cause a drastic mispositioning of players for once CLG move in and execute into B. They're not going to be available to immediately rotate down into this site, which they're trying to adjust for this now. As you can see, Def rotating into Z there a bit early. But they're going to keep Peter on the outside of Ivy and just have Yaster commit completely to that flank. Thankfully, CLG is moving very slowly to actually execute and get themselves to roll into the site. Finally, they're going to go for it, but now this means Yaster can pretty quickly get behind them and start to shut them down. Slemmy and Def both pick up kills on the way in, too. That serves to give them already an advantage to play off of, and they have Kusta sitting it up. Or not entirely sure if he's committed to watching for this or not, but we've got the CT running down ramp and is going to be able to just sneak up right behind these guys. Might not even kill anyone, might just go for the plan, especially since Peter and Slemmy will clean things up on their own regard. So that leaves only Kusta alive, and he's got a nasty surprise waiting for him right here. Yaster jumping out of the ladder, takes him down as the last man standing, and that'll be compLexity taking the second half pistol.
Yeah, it was a solid round. They went for info just when they needed to. compLexity, or CLG took just long enough that that flank was effective. And it really wasn't the flank in terms of Yaster getting kills that mattered so much. As you can see, he took that fight face-to-face with Kustas, but it was because they were able to over-rotate to B, and everyone found pretty good spots to be comfortable in. That made everything a lot easier. So, nice start to the second half. I think maybe we're in for, and I would hope, like a longer game. And CLG have not much to work with, but haven't invested all their money. I definitely like to see that.
Quick flash out of Ivy. He's going to let Def get this early kill pretty much for free. FNS out there. The rest of CLG is trying to prop up the strength they need to actually execute outer, but it's not looking too friendly at this point in time here. They were naded out of T-Con, and the same can be said for Ladder Room there. And you can see the effects of that immediately. Color, though, sneaks out of Ladder Room, past the smoke even. It gets himself a kill, but again, trades stay consistent. compLexity keep the numbers very much under their control, and the map control, more importantly, under their belt here, as Peter picks up one more frag. So the last two spread out, detach from each other. Rique's kind of got some partial control. He's going to sneak in with it here. But now with his teammate dead, he is the only person still alive in this site. Picks up the first kill, tries to go for one more range, but just can't put the bullets together. So Def will take him down instead, and that secures the round for compLexity, although it is a bit pricey. And it's going to cost them rebuys as we're getting into the first gun round. Yeah,
A couple of rebuys. I don't know how much they invested into only rifles. I know Def pushed into T-Con with just UMP, so a little bit less to lose. And some cool kills coming out from CLG that made that very competitive. And this buy isn't going to be awesome because they didn't get a plant. So, you know, it's not a bad place, I think, for compLexity. They still have a good chance to win this round and do it cleanly. Good early smoke out to ladder. Oh my god. Oh my god. What a shot from Peter. From where on earth did he really do that? From T-Con through the wall.
I guess we'll have to check out the replay on that one and get a better look at that. Assuming we pick up that replay, that is.
That was eyes emoji.
We'll see it. Def and Kusta, though, are going to trade blows here, but with Peter's earlier kill, it's set compLexity up. All of a sudden, CLG find themselves, well, just completely split up here. They get the last two players together in formation, but compLexity have seen that there's essentially zero presence now on the outer bomb site, and we'll start to rotate players appropriately. You've already got Peter positioned in here, along with the usual player playing into the site. That's going to be Android waiting up near the bomb train. I kind of think he's up a pop dog instead. But anyway, just waiting there for CLG to try and execute in. And CLG go for this in pretty much the most straightforward fashion possible, so they're going to know it's coming. They'll be able to predict this pretty easily, and I imagine shut it down. We'll see, though.
Yeah, smoke land's a little bit low, but the shot missed.
That gave them a little bit of wiggle room here. At least the ability to trade onto Android and let FNS get to the site. Plant capability is still pretty minimal, though, especially because the bomb got dropped, so Yaster takes him out, and that's compLexity. Up to 7 now.
Replay, please.
Let's see it. Oh, he did hit it.
It's a thing.
Oh, my God. He actually hit it through the grate.
My God.
Nicely done, Peter.
Could you just put an auto sniper there and hold on to ladder control? I mean,
maybe.
Jeez, you just have someone out there listening for the drop and then
just call it.
Oh my God.
No meta. Well, we've got CLG on a full eco this time again, so don't expect anything fantastic here. Yeah, he plays with his positioning a little bit and has already got that first kill on a finesse. The rest of CLG, though, stuck on the outside of Ivy. Has allowed for only Kusta to make progress. Kusta can probably kill Ye, though. He just has to wait for him to overpeak. But now he's going to get caught in a fight versus Def, and it's actually going to be Ye himself that takes him down. able to confidently peek back out there, finish off the kill, and now Slummy has spotted the last 2 and 3 players and will handle them with no problem whatsoever. And there you go, a quick cleanup from compLexity makes this a bit of a competitive game, 8-11, as we go into the second gun round from CLG.
5 Alive is enormous, man. They've got the entire set of rebuys, only buying up utility once again, have a bunch of AKs to work with. CLG, after that save, are still in kind of a buy save situation, and haven't gotten any plans to make that to help them out in any regard. So full bit of utility. The bottom line is at least get to a post-plant situation. 3 players at IV, 2 working towards inner. They have split up the CTs nicely. And Slemmy, he's gonna spot. I'm surprised not more worried about an op, I should say. And oh, that's an unfortunate trade, yeah.
So that will technically make it a 1-for-1.
Yeah, this is what we saw from compLexity, right? Except they didn't work inner as well. So they went try to go for the ladder control and then top IV, but here they lost ladder. CLG lost ladder, even though they tried to fight for it and got that opening kill. So it was seriously an unfortunate team kill, like one of the more unfortunate team kills, because they're reevaluating their decision now. Clock's ticking down, they work their way back to inner. They've still got a lot of nades to work with at the very least, and they know that compLexity haven't pushed anything. Or at least we know that. They don't know that T-Cone's clear. Ooh. Yeah, he's going to hear this.
Yeah, especially if they keep stomping down. No, they don't slow it at all. So Ye definitely hears all of this and should be able to call it. So we've already got Peter committed inside onto the rotate here, and Slummy's on the way. So they're going to be ready for this hit. Slummy might be slightly out of position.
Yay Cam.
And he's going to move directly up on top to pick up 2 kills here. Should be able to chain that third one together as well. Ricke's found the trade, but it doesn't matter now. He's in a 1v3, but oh, let's wait a second here as he moves in, but fails to check that spindle position, and that's where Android's going to be able to take him down, solidifying another round for compLexity.
Yeah, and if anyone was curious, that's the value of ladder control right there. Ye heard all those footsteps, everybody running towards inner, and since the time was at a critical moment, it's like the last 20 seconds, and they know that he hears multiple pairs of feet that aren't coming ladder, that is 100% going to be inner, so he calls for the rotate, goes for the big flank, gets all the kills himself. 100% off of the back of information, has nothing to do with aim.
That will allow for compLexity to keep this lead rolling, at least in the second half. Still have yet to actually tie the game back up, but they've brought CLG to a screeching halt in terms of just doing anything on this T side right now. The 6th round for them, still haven't even really gotten close to winning a round against compLexity yet. So compLexity certainly are probably feeling better about themselves, and especially on rounds like this, still should be able to manage them quite easily. Oh, although Kusta, beautiful headshot from him as he moves in, just deletes Def up on top of Ticket. Again, though, it's not long before we see the trades come out from Cole. Both Slummy and Peter picking up their own kills here. Ethan trying to make some forward momentum to get inner control and let his team plant, but now that he's popped out the smokes, that's called for everyone on compLexity except for Slummy to rotate back in. Android's going to walk up. They don't check the open lane here. He can only go 1-for-1, but he did great damage to FNS at least. Ethan, though, hold on now, has killed the Aster. That brought us down to a 2v2. FNS also has the AK. He'll play to an aggressive position, but they may not expect him to be up here. Peter finds him, though. Knocks him out. No, that's a nice little corner that the Molly's able to chuck itself down into. Ends up burning right up on top of the bomb train, and Slummy will then be able to force Ethan out into the open and eliminate him. Now putting compLexity to double digits.
Solid eco round. 3 kills, bomb plant. They obviously don't win the round, even though they come close, but that's still very good for this next round. So decent retake as well from compLexity. And I think this is the... Oh, it was actually a Peter flick. Okay. I thought it was that Kusta 1D, unless that was last round. I might be losing my mind, Blue. Dementia. Early onset dementia for me.
It's a serious issue.
Shouldn't take that lightly.
Yeah, no. So tactical pause. I assume this is from CLG. So compLexity on a roll. Probably want to keep rolling through these rounds without any pauses in between. But CLG clearly need a moment to figure this out, as they are going on to another gun round. But if they lose this one, it means tie point at 11-11. And probably CLG taking the lead too, is obviously it's probably a compLexity taking the lead, as CLG would be put onto another eco.
Yeah, as far as we're concerned, looking at this, compLexity are in the lead because they have more than 1 or 2 rebuys, even if they lose a couple of rounds in a row. They also have won the majority of the rounds in this half. They have shown that they have been solid in this half, even more solid than compLexity starting out. So you would actually anticipate that they've you know, they're going to win this game unless CLG make an adjustment, change what they've been doing. And as far as we know, just looking at what we've seen, you would expect compLexity should be able to keep up. So, in my opinion, compLexity probably feeling like that as well, and it's going to be curious to try to find out how they adjust in response. Good information gained from Peter on this Ivy push. Important to be aggressive here once every few rounds. Keep the other team in check, whether or not you use it. Just make sure that the terrorists can't feel like they can push here, take control of it, hold your rotates. And because of this inner hit is going to get called out. Yay, becoming a dedicated player to B. Ah, Spools has been taking the best spot in the whole set.
So he's going to have this, and he's not going to have to worry. You can see the other blue line there. That's Yaster checking for him at upper, just to make sure that he doesn't get overwhelmed too quickly. And in comes the execute. Ooh, FNS also gets a first entry kill on outer too. Android only trades one because he gives up the Spindle's position. Yay, doing a great job of holding this, however. Moves in and picks up 2 kills along with great damage onto a third player. That's Kusta brought down with just 30 HP.
Oh.
Def has a perfect position, has already gone on this flank, finds FNS before he can even join his teammate in the site. So it's just Kusta left alone, having to deal with players from both angles here. Creep forward. He's got himself up to the bomb train at least, but like I said before, in a second, he is going to have Def sneaking up on him, and he's just missed his first and what could be his only opportunity to kill Peter. I like his positioning that he's taking here, though, and there we go. Lines up the headshot on Peter, has isolated it into the 1v1, and it looks like Def just going to stick this. I don't even know if he heard it. Look, he's going all the way down. Can he get up to him in time? No! He gets to the bomb too late. So Def will sneak the defuse in, and it's compLexity to win the round.
Damn, I kind of like that. There's so much time left on the clock. You know, you see him sticking, you're like, oh, man, Kusta's might not be able to get there in time, and Kusta really wanted to walk to not give up his position. So, I mean, give him a quarter of a second more, and he's able to get it, but because Def was so decisive on that defuse and got in a nice position, crouched, it was really hard to find. And yeah, otherwise it would have been a very difficult 1v1 to win with all the trains that Kusta could use to work with. But overall, a great round from compLexity. The early Ivy control to take control of information. CLG getting forced into inner, and then the smoke coming out at the perfect moment when CLG wanted to execute. Even with a kill going down outside from CLG, they still got decimated on their hit by 2 players. So it's a good opening frag from compLexity. Once again, Yaster at the ladder room, making sure they can't drop down for free.
Yeah, he's already picked up the first kill on the round, so CLG already have been stunted a little bit and reduced their player count down to 4. Mollies are not helping them as they try to kind of sneak in and get an executed. And once again, too, they're going to be flanked out here. Ricky successfully holds it this time, so he does kill that flanker before he can find any massive amount of impact. And now let's even this out, and actually is making CLG have second thoughts on whether they should execute into this site. But compLexity realized this too, and they just pushed Slemmy along with Peter back to the outer site.
Definitely need to raise that crosshair just a little bit for the frag. Inner on the ducket, 30 seconds or so remaining. And even though they shut down that flank, they're just cooling enough to make it seem like they can make a big rotate. These smokes and stuff will help them telegraph, but Ye hasn't been flashed off at all. Oh, he can stay alive. They haven't cleared him.
And they're going to think it's clear, too, because of the upper player pushing so much. Gets 2 kills lined up from this position, and Slemmy from the other side is going to shut it all down. Nicely held again from compLexity. Player count gets brought down a little bit lower, but they can survive on that, assuming they continue to win out these rounds, because right now CLG are just getting nothing done on this T side. Yeah,
nothing done. And again, compLexity going for info in all the right places. And, you know, really, it's hard to push on CT side, but you can see how valuable that information is. Overstacking the inner has been a key to victory for compLexity in this map. And CLG looking worse for wear. How many rounds in a row has it been for?
They haven't lost a single round this half. Yeah. CLG have literally done nothing on this T side.
Nope.
So, seemingly finding their kryptonite, compLexity will look to shut down another round, and while there are good trades coming out from CLG, it's not enough. It's still a 3v2. They don't have bomb site control. They have some haphazardly established positions. You could see FNS getting himself towards the ladder, which he could use to go up to heaven, but it doesn't look like he's decided to go for it. Instead, I think they're just going to pinch over here towards Ivy, although FNS puts himself into a bad position. That's where Slemmy picks up the kill, and now Kusta left alone. I think he knows someone's in that corner, but still drops down into it anyway, where Def is ready to take the shot, knock him out, and secure a number 13 for Cole, as they've had quite the comeback to bring them to this point.
I like the tempo change from CLG. We haven't seen a lot of inner hits. We haven't seen, or sorry, outer hits, and we haven't seen them be fast as well. And excuse my analogy, but sometimes it's easier to shatter a defense that is calcified. And I think that if you do let the outside players not have to do a lot of work besides rotate inner, like push for information instead of like face fast executes or half the counter nade, then sometimes you can catch them off guard. And I think that's what they were going for. Unfortunately for them, compLexity were still ready. And we're very sharp, and it is the job of kind of the IGL to be like, all right, well, hey, stay sharp outside, because there's still there's a chance they're probably going to throw this curveball. They're going to try something new since inner's not working for them. Clearly, they might do something fast. We've got a huge economic advantage. Just throw your early counter nades, make sure that they can't go outside the first 20 seconds, and then we'll win the round for sure.
Yeah, CLG. Oh, excuse me, CLG. Buy back in now. But the buy is not looking that great since they have to downgrade quite a few players here. Really just trying to keep the game competitive by any means necessary. As compLexity have pretty much just run them over on this CT side and have allowed them to do nothing. A quicker setup for an outer strike this time, as they've got the smokes already deployed. But once again, Ye strikes first from inside of the ladder room, picking up a kill onto Ricky. The rest of the team is going to try to funnel out through T-Con, but Ye's going to see this. While he only gets one additional kill, he calls it out. And in addition to Def completing this flank, having the intel is only going to serve to make this even easier for compLexity. Again, few more trades to be somewhat expected due to the positioning that compLexity are playing off of. But there's where Def's going to strike on the flank, and Ethan with only 6 HP. Trying to pull off a 1v3 is going to be quite difficult. The first kill is for free. Smooth little one tap there. And he even goes out to find Android too. Tries to dive into Z though, and that's where Def will be able to find it from up on top of the bomb train and win out the round for Cole.
Yeah, it could have been a long round, but once again, the informational play pays off for compLexity. And man, see, nothing that CLG are completely downloaded at the moment. compLexity look very confident. Their pushes are paying off. The timings are right. I think they have a lot of clarity at the moment as to what CLG's game plan is, which is kind of cool to see. I didn't really expect such a huge comeback to occur. And again, it's just been so many rounds in a row. I mean, just basically no mistakes made. Or I mean, sometimes it's been gambles that compLexity have gotten away with, but past that have shown like serious consistency and have denied bomb plants majority of the rounds as well. T-Con control, again, in a push with no one there. That's kind of the best part, right? Is in all these pushes, it's always resulted in a big flank. It's not even been like having a fight for control of something and like get a kill or be killed.
Oh, wow, look at this. Just walk right out of T-Con.
That was kind of rough from Slemmy, knowing that they had the flank on Ivy and that there were going to be players there. But I thought they could catch them distracted.
Served to even this back up at least, and Kusta hitting the first entry coming out of Ivy too, so not too bad of a start here from CLG. They've got to keep it together though, and they don't check the left side, or the right side technically, coming out of Ivy here towards the actual site, which is going to let Yaster just get a combo kill, picks up 2, and just like that, CLG are back down to earth. So they've lost all of their initiating rights, they've lost pretty much all of their map control too. They still have FNS with control of ladder room. Oh, and they could get Def. Hold on, Def's going to play this a little bit smarter than this. Yeah, so he falls back, adjusts appropriately, and even finds Ethan, dinks him down low, and one little tap there is going to be able to finish him off, putting compLexity up to map point.
A flawless half so far in what could be the last round of the game. A complete force-up, as they don't even have enough money for good guns or grenades. We'll have to compromise on both fronts. What a solid performance from compLexity. I'm shocked. I mean, at the beginning of the map, I thought, okay, I feel like they have a good chance to win. As the first half progressed, it's like, wow, their T side is really lackluster. And then now it seems like, this is like a completely brand new team.
Peter getting aggressive again, and he picks up the first kill. And is even able to fall back to the server due to the quick molly that he pops off afterwards. Waiting for more. Jump up on Dumpster, but Kusta with the reads. Nicely done. Finds the fact that Peter's sitting back behind the server. Pre-fires right into his head. Nicely done.
There he goes, right out of the server. Will T-Con be pushed? Yaster's definitely got an eye on it. There are no terrorists here to contest quite yet. The smoke is bad. They just smoked themselves completely out of Ivy. So that is
as one of our analysts laughs in the background.
Yeah, I mean that's insane, right? Because they smoked themselves out of Ivy, and that makes the round so much longer, and also tells compLexity so much.
Yep, so now they're going to molly it, which should delay things even further. Oh, and they just double peek it too. Kusta trades, but Yaster holds on with some good spray control to be able to find Kusta. Ethan, though, hits an entry on inner, and I think this is actually going to become the game plan now. We can see FNS shifting all the way back to the side. Def is probably going to stay in ladder, simply because he can see if it does end up diving back into the outer bomb site, but he can also hear. And actually, no, he went up on top, but he's standing right in the way of FNS.
20 seconds left. They're actually going to take it outside because they don't know if Ender's been pushed. And Ye is walking back outside. This could come down to timing. And it looks like Ye's going for heaven. Oh my god.
Is Ethan going to realize that, though, if he just shift wall? No, he's set down below, but Ethan still moves out and kills him anyway. It's down to just Def, who's completely mispositioned at this point. Plant will just barely go down with 1 second in excess. And now Def left to clutch. He's got a whole lot of utility to clutch, however. But he's not going to use any of it. He just goes loud, and Ethan positions himself well. Ethan's the hero there in the 2v2 as he gets all of the kills at the end of it and secures finally another round for CLG.
Great awareness from Ethan. I think he heard somebody in Z and then decided that, okay, he couldn't have gotten that far, and clears all the necessary stuff or whatever he could afford to clear considering the amount of time left over. Now within 3 rounds of bringing us to OT, but CLG have won the first round of the entire half. I mean, and good on them for keeping complexity so low because they just actually have no money for anything real right now.
Now CLG look for a much slower opener onto this round here. Even keep quite a bit of presence away from Ivy, which has been kind of their staple for the half prior to this. Right now, it's only Rikke trying to push towards it. Kusta, though, gets destroyed by Peter on an attempt to walk up and spot for intel behind the first train. And that's, again, given complexity an advantage to start off the round. But with them working on a scrap buy, that's not going to mean much until we see them pick up 2 or 3 more.
This is interesting. I mean, they're playing this very loose because they lost that first kill, so now they're kind of in playmaker mode, which can be good, can be bad. They've made their way out upstairs, and there's some footsteps above the ladder, so they're kind of going to know, at least for complexity, that it is going to be an inner hit.
Oh, Andrew's being so annoying, too. FNS finally finishes him off, but not before he got dinked. So it's Cutler to hold off the push from Ye. That's good. At least serves to even us back up. FNS, though, is going to overstay his welcome there at the edge of the tanker. He ends up getting knocked out. And finally, they end up executing outer. They end up pushing outside for this control instead. So they did bait the rotates back in, and Rikke's got a good position. And Ivy, he's going to end up running without his gun drawn. Peter does have to end up unscoping from it, and Cutler wraps around. Can't get the full kill onto Def, though. So now he's stuck behind the train in a 1v2. He can see the shadow of the player at bomb trade, but didn't realize apparently that he was pushing that close. He's able to correct it, though. Now Peter will have to look to take him down relatively quickly. Peter does not have a kit, and I'm unsure if his teammate had one, but Cutler's just going to manage it anyway. Headshots its last opponent and secures a 13th round for CLG.
Yeah, it might be a very valuable op. It looks like it's going to go to the 30th here. Not a lot of money to buy. 1v1 situation that complexity looked pretty solid and a lot of good trades coming out. But at the end of the day, only thing that matters now is the round itself. Complexity being broke really shouldn't have spent much money. I think they'd officially be on 3-round loss next. So yeah, as for CLG, clearly with having anything left over, they are looking very healthy.
FNS, I think, is expecting this type of aggressive play from complexity. But interestingly enough, they don't just outright push the back halls here and try to catch players on top of ladder. They're actually going to hold back a little bit just on ramp.
It's actually passive-aggressive, like a bad communicator.
Seems like they do eventually start to push forward, though, since they're not finding anything. Oh, we'll see, though. They're going to miss the timing on this. They would have heard that, though, so they're going to know that they moved in and got ladder control. So we'll attempt to swarm onto these players, but now it's pretty much just a reverse situation here. FNS will try to hold, and he's going to get fed kills one by one if this keeps going this way. 1, 2, 3. Where's 4? Oh, he's caught reloading. So he won't get 4 just yet. His teammate might actually take that from him. No, he'll get it. He won't get the ace, though. Peter takes him down, and Cutler will look to close out here. In a bit of trouble with it. There you go. Finishes it off, and that takes us to round number 30 to decide the match.
As soon as I was spotted if I was spotted at the top of the ladder, I would have just yelled totem pole at the top of my lungs and got people to jump on each other's heads to fall down. That would have been a much better idea than just having one person come down at a time. Solid round from CLG. Easy stuff. They pick the right side to go to. They do it together, and they bring it to the 30th. Let's hit the final stretch. what we've all been waiting for, and an Ivy push.
Oh, what a great flash, too. Moves out. Cutler's able to respond, but it's not long before Slemmy's out here. Kusta needs to trade this, and Slemmy knows it, too. He's in a bit of a tight spot now. He'll use the smoke to fall back, as they're going to be happy with a 2-for-1 trade. And Yeister does him one better. Picks up the frag onto Ethan. So it's down to only FNS and Kusta to win this round in a 2v4 and keep CLG alive in this matchup here to take it to OT.
Nearly out of options. Minute 10 on the clock. It's the only thing they have going for them, apart from their utility. compLexity just have to play their spots. I like how Slemmy, once he got that kill, just did everything he could get out of there. And will this angle be good? It will.
He's going to be able to catch FNS. No usage of the utility on him, so all that goes down to the ground. I'm actually surprised Kusta is not at least attempting to molly out or something here. Slemmy is going to still sit here. He's changed up his position a little bit more, though. Gets him to miss the shot. And with Kusta missing that, that's Slemmy to close out. compLexity completing a absolutely massive comeback. And they end up taking the match in round number 30, 16-14. After starting off 4-11 at the beginning of the half, thought for certain that CLG was just going to wipe right through and take quick control, but apparently I was dead wrong, and we saw compLexity come back in massive fashion in order to take it.
Knew it the whole time.
Yep.
It was obvious. No, it's a great CT side comeback. It really looked like they were the worst team in the first half with their T side being lackluster, but they did really good stuff on CT side. I mean, the comeback was there because CLG, maybe made some mistakes, but also I think compLexity made a lot of good pushes for information that paid off, and they did what they had to do.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to close out our segment here. We'll be back in a little bit for map number 2, but for now, let's send it back over to the analysts to break down the first map between these two teams.
Appreciate it, guys. Looking at this one, where do we start?
I think that they kind of summed it up pretty good. Blue and Launders with compLexity's good CT side aggression being the one bright light I could kind of like take out of the match. I hate to say it, but mostly it was just sloppy play. It was kind of like uninspired T-side rounds that were just kind of weird to watch. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen so much people just lurk out T middle or at spots without any utility. It felt like timing was way off for both teams on their T side. Yeah, they both had strong CT sides, but it felt like, especially watching compLexity, they'd have a, okay, here's the first step. We'll just toss Molotov or flash and then go, and then after that, it was just, what's going on? What do we do next?
You know what I was thinking is, like, there might be a reason for that. It might be because they scrim each other so often that they just, like, know each other's tendencies on the map, and therefore you have this weird approach. I think one of the reasons I think that is because you noted that they're dying so often with full utility belts, right? Like, on T side, if you're going to contact out enter before a minute is done on the clock, and you have everyone has 4 nades on them and 3 people die in a matter of 2 seconds, like, that's a huge waste. So there has to be some rhyme or reason of why they're doing that. I just don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, I guess we could only speculate, right? Either way, we're going to load up the first replay we have for you guys. It's going to be round number 5 here, where it's, I guess, FNS, question mark?
Yeah, as you see, compLexity's on kind of a save route, and Slemmy just kind of sneaks out here, and he's literally shooting a good whole spot, and FNS doesn't even react, doesn't even look, doesn't even help his teammate, gets taken out, then CLG almost lose this round, but then Cole's like, let's not plant the bomb, let's just do a little more crazy stuff here and just look around, try to go for kills. Obviously, it's not the optimal play, especially when Z is a very common choke point for people to rotate their inside, outside.
And you don't have armor on one of your guys. Like,
yeah.
If you're going to make that push, you better be absolutely damn sure why you're doing it, right? Because just to even get the bomb point that round is a success, right?
Yeah.
To be in the 2v2 is more than you originally bargained for. I think what happened there is that FNS did not get the comm from his buddy that was playing back red, right? So I think it was Ricky that died first to those P250 shots. And he's probably, you know how it goes when you die to something disappointing, you're probably like, ah, and then your other teammate dies and you're like, ah, sandwich. And then while you're doing that, he dies and then he's mad and then nobody else hears a comm. So it's like, I think there's some communication issues on CT side. Train is one of those maps where it can be really hard to comm because, like, as soon as somebody dies or an angle is given up, like,
things unfold so
many
fast.
Other people's spots are compromised at that point.
Well, an interesting situation nonetheless, which brings us to our next replay. We have round number 10 loaded up, and it's going to be an interesting ability to win in a 3v5.
Yeah, so FNS hit some good shots here. Launders was noting how it's really hard to hit these, shots where somebody's sliding out at a completely perpendicular path compared to your line of sight. And the round should basically be over for compLexity at this point, right? If you have a guy staring up ladder as 3 people are above it and your Ivy presence just got basically demolished by FNS, like there's no way you can plan on winning that round with 30 seconds left. But I think it's just the raw skill of the guys on compLexity to make rounds like this work, and a little bit of miscommunication on the side of CLG allows them that round back in the game, right? So this game ended up ending 16-14, and then you see a round like that in addition to anti-eco losses, and it's just like, you know, obviously a lot of things to work on. I think it's the CT side for CLG.
A lot of undisciplined peaks, especially that you saw in that last replay, just peaking. Like
even though CLG did get 11 rounds on their CT side, they still gave up 2 rounds that they should not have, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't really know what's going on here.
What's going on here? Now, you said our last replay, but this is, in fact, the last replay we have for you from Train. It's going to be around 20.
So I think James was pointing out on this one where you see there's about 50 seconds left on the clock, and CLG decides to start running towards the halls here as
and they have no assurance that there's no CT in T mid. There's no CT in ladder. So they both have no idea whether or not those positions have a CT in it, which could easily hear their path of running. They also lost ladder control earlier on in the round. And they know that compLexity have been pushing mid all half. So like whoever made that decision to say, let's start running now as we're entering the stairs out of T spawn up towards bathrooms with 50 seconds left on the clock, I don't really know what the point was there. Like there was no like second level plan, like we're making the noise in order to do something else. It was like, we're just making the noise because we have no other choice at this point. We're just going to run inner and hope for the best. It's like, how is that like, how did anyone think that was going to work? Like, like I'm not going to, like, it doesn't make any sense, like, at all.
I don't know.
I would love to know. I'm not trying to, like, insult, but I really want to know, like, what was actually thought of right there. Like, did they actually think that was going to work? It's kind of weird.
There's a chance that is exactly what they thought, but perhaps it doesn't matter because we're going to be changing now over to Mirage. That is going to be our next digital battleground that we go to here. And our final map for the night, actually, between these two teams. And ending in such a close pace, the last map, should we anticipate the same sort of turnout here?
I mean, I hope not. I want to see more time and play, a little more coordination on the T sides. Like, for example, Mirage, if you're going to do the mid-A split, attack connector and out halls or A-ramp at the same time kind of thing, just, like,
that was one thing
harder.
I forgot to get at, is, like, the timing between those outside crunches by both teams on Train were just super, like, not synchronized. Like, guys could be coming out Ivy 3 seconds before a T is even down ladder, and there's nobody peeking T mid, and it's like, that's the whole point of going from the 3 places, is because it pressures them all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't really know. But I think that Mirage, I think the tactics will be better, right? Because people tend to play that map more often. So.
Well, only time will tell, and that is exactly what we have. We have just a couple minutes here before we jump into our second map here of the series and our final map of the evening. So make sure you're here with us when we come back. We're going to be jumping right into Mirage, and you don't want to miss it.